No clue is not enough.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In Touch Capstone episode 5. My name is Taylor.
And my name is Anjali.
And today we are so excited to be interviewing Jaden Casey.
Hi, Jaden. We're so happy to have you. So to get us started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Hey, guys. Thank you for having me as well. My name is Jaden. I'm 17 years old, and I'm a junior at Godwin High School.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. So, Jaden, before we had this interview, we had the opportunity to talk to you and get to know you a little bit more, and specifically about your adoption. So, would you mind sharing with us a little bit about being adopted and living in the United States and how that has enhanced or prohibited you from feeling connected to your Chinese heritage?
Well, yeah. So I was adopted from China when I was about 1 and some change on February 23rd, 2004. And I would say that being adopted hasn't really prohibited me in at least my experience, because everyone's experiences in this thing are different. I feel like with my parents, like personally, I wasn't one of the kids that had to go to Chinese school. They didn't push me into doing anything personally that, like, if I didn't want to. So they kind of let me come to them with any questions, any whatever, or any interests or stuff. So I wouldn't say that I've really been restricted in living in the US and stuff.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. So our next question is, has being adopted by two white parents influenced the way you've grown up or the way that you've been treated or spoken to?
I mean, personally, yeah. I don't think it's, I know they're white and, like, obviously I'm Chinese, but I don't really see them as just like my white parents. They're just kind of, my parents. So I think that's kind of one thing. And I definitely think it has influenced me in a way, because it's always one of those, like, when people meet me or don't see me out with my parents and the first time, they're like, oh, but not a bad oh, just like a situation, which is it's kind of a fun thing, especially when you get older. Like, I remember one time this girl didn't know, and she was like, so is your dad Asian because your mom's white? And I was like, no, I'm adopted. Like, it was just one of those funny stories. But I think that it's been awesome, because they're such great people and their morals have that's really what's happened. It's not really anything about having white parents, is that, and the way they raised me are like, like being raised white, but it's just being raised by their morals and their principles and stuff that have really impacted me in the way I am today.
That's a really
awesome.
good point.
Thank you
I
so
love that. We're now joined by Jaden's mom and dad, Mr. Scott Casey and Mrs. Tammy Casey. We are so happy to have the two of you with Jaden. Being that your family has such a unique and special story, we wanted to ask the two of you some questions as well. So to get us started, Taylor, take it away.
Yeah, we were really intrigued and just wanted to know if you guys could walk us through your adoption process or the story behind adopting Jaden.
Okay, I can start.
All right.
So when we decided to adopt, we researched like domestic adoption and international adoption. And one of the reasons we chose not to do domestic was because the laws in the United States are different states have different laws. We were very fearful and kind of skeptical about a birth mother changing her mind. And so a lot of the domestic adoption has moved towards open adoption, meaning they kind of know who you are, you know who the birth mother is. I don't know. We were just kind of nervous about that. So we started researching international. And then we chose China. One of the reasons is they had very healthy babies. There were lots of girls that needed homes. I had a friend that I worked with at Capital One that had adopted a little girl, so she was like really helpful. And then when I kind of just told Scott, I don't know, I think our baby's in China, he was like, all right. And then her grandma, my mom, Jaden's grandma, would call me every day when she saw like a couple with a little baby from China. She was like, you've got to get a Chinese baby.
That's
Wow,
great.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what the process was like actually getting Jaden and going to China? Did you go to China to adopt her and that whole process?
Yeah, it took little over a year, I think, from initial paperwork until we actually got to meet Jaden by picture first.
Oh, do we have the picture?
We had a little
Oh,
picture.
yeah.
It was about this big, just a little
Let's see if I can
2x2
find it.
picture. And then we did travel to China, and we stayed in Guangzhou, which is kind of in the southeast portion of the country. And that happens to be where the American consulate is. So, wait, is that the picture in there?
Those were the little pictures that
The-
we
the
got.
little
If you want, or something.
That's so precious.
That's awesome.
We were over there for 10 days. So we had to do a lot of paperwork and things like that over there too, so that when we landed back in LA, Jaden was officially a US citizen the second we hit the shores.
Oh, wow.
That's really interesting. I never really thought about the citizenship of it all.
process,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so
but
much for sharing. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mhm.
So, our next question for the parents is, was there any sort of acclimation process, whether that be lifestyle or a mindset that came with adopting a child of color?
I mean, kind of like Jaden answered before, I don't know if we really saw it that way as far as one reason she was only one. So I think if she were older and spoke Chinese, then yeah, we probably would have had
Right.
a totally different experience. But she was one, she couldn't speak Chinese or whatever. And I don't think she had a memory of it. So we have friends who've adopted an older child. I think that made it a little bit different.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, certainly we got kind of looks and stuff when we would take her out, but nothing negative. It was always positive. I mean, some people would walk up in the grocery store and want to like hear the whole story. And we felt like at that point it was better for her not to feel singled out or different. So we would just tell people, great, you want to call me sometime? I'd be happy to talk to you. And that like most people would just walk away.
Well, and obviously I was little, and I know this is their segment, but didn't you guys adopt me at like kind of the end of the kind of like Chinese adoption kind of?
Yeah, I mean,
fizzled out
I
at
would
that point?
it
So
was, yeah, it had gotten
kinda
pretty,
got normalized in a
Yeah.
sense.
it was pretty common to see, I think, American parents with Chinese children.
And
But
that's,
I'm trying to think if there was anything else in that question that I wanted to, but no, we didn't. I mean, she was just so little. We were more about just adopting and attaching with her. Like a lot of folks that we talked to told us about how to bond with your child because she was a year. It wasn't like she was. We're still trying to bond with her. We're not close at all. The
I
bond,
can
the
see
bonding
that. You're not at all.
it really didn't
You're not
work.
gonna- you're not gonna-
So I think we felt more like about just making sure that the adoption part, the attachment happened, but not so much about the difference in cultures.
I love that it is being more normalized to see blended families and families who might look biologically
exactly
the same.
like,
Right. I
Right.
think that's such a great thing. And that's definitely a positive of kind of like what our capstone is about. It's definitely one of the
Just
more
positive
positive sides
thing.
of it all. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
So next we have a few reflection questions just to talk about your family in general, the adoption, your life, anything and everything in between.
Yeah. So we just want to start out. Is there any particular highlight or moment or experience that has come from your adoption that has happened to your family in general?
I mean, everything. Like, I don't
Yeah.
really know what to say. Like,
It's hard to.
it's kind of crazy to think that like I was placed with that, like how we all got to, like, it was perfect. Like there wasn't any like, ooh, that was a little rough, or like I don't think we've ever gotten exactly, but it's like kind of crazy that like it's kind of crazy that like it could have been different. Like you could have ended like it could be someone different sitting right here,
Mhm.
and vice versa. Like
Well,
I
I
think
was
it's kind
told
of
I always
insane.
told her that it was just God's plan.
And I think it's so
He had the baby
Sorry.
picked out for us.
I think it's so beautiful knowing that like all of these memories were not forced because like, oh, I was in your, you have to, like I came from your,
Right.
like I didn't just like, okay, I'm stuck with you. Like it was literally like,
Well, I had like a really good
Me
friend the other
too.
day. I mean, not the other day. This is probably a few years ago, but a good friend say something like, "Well, what about when you had Jaden? Were you in the hospital?" I was like, I didn't have Jaden. They were like, oh my gosh, that's right. I forgot. So it was just like, it fits so well that people don't even see it as an adoption or
Love.
Chinese or, yeah.
But if I was gonna like say like a specific memory, I mean, I'd say, I don't know, we used to go to the beach almost every year at one point, and that was always really fun.
Especially when Auntie Lee came.
That was very fun.
That's one of my favorite memories, but I don't know about you.
One of mine is actually early on when we were in China. The very first couple days, Jade was really serious. I mean, she had lips were tight. She was just scoping everything out, sizing up what was
See
happening.
this toy? She gripped it like for 3 days straight.
We
Her
couldn't-
knuckers,
we couldn't get it
she
out of her
wouldn't,
hand.
she would not let go of it.
Need a guru?
That's so
So
cute.
it was like a couple days, trying to wondering what she was thinking of us because she just had a serious face, and we went to visit a school with the rest of the families that were in our group. And on the way back on the bus ride, 2 of the other girls were playing in the back of the bus, and they were having fun. And next thing you know, Jaden looked up. I get choked up a little bit. She looked up and she smiled for the first time that we were there.
That's so
So
sweet.
sweet.
I love that.
And then from then it was all fun and games after that. It was almost like she
Like
had to
long.
really kind of just see the situation, and then she said, okay, it's cool, now I can.
Well, and
I
other
can
people
let
would
loose.
like there were a lot of families that brought a grandparent or somebody with them. And so they would all get up in Jaden's face and they're like, oh, I'll make her laugh. And you could tell Jaden was like,
Not into
back
it.
off, like just back
Yeah.
off. And so she needed her own time. And then after that, I mean, her and Scott would like in the hotel room, they'd be wrestling and laughing. It was like she just needed her own time to kind of,
What about Daddy fell down?
yeah. We used to make Scott fall down so he would make her laugh.
Yeah, there's a lot of ridiculous physical comedy that came but left China with a lot.
You sometimes.
That's right.
Yep.
I love that. I love that Jaden just loved you so quickly. You can really tell how well your family just like fits together, and I'm not surprised in the least that
special moments.
yeah, everything worked out so perfectly. So our last question, or at the end, is there anything that you have learned from having a unique blended family? So do you have any perspectives about life, or do you see the world in a different view?
This is deep, girls, man.
I'll go. I
Okay.
think it's really, being from a family like this, I think it's really special when you see not even if you don't know them, like you don't even have to interact, see other families that are blended. It could be from like, stepchildren, whatever, like that kind of situation, or adoption or anything like that. It's so beautiful to see all that blendedness, not even just of like race or stuff like by itself, but like just seeing how families can come together even if they're not exactly blood related or blood stuff. Like for example, obviously I'm adopted, and then on my mom's side, her oldest brother and his wife, they have their family's biracial. So my cousins, I grew up, my cousins are biracial, and then I was Asian, so my grandma was always like, it was just really cool to see that, not just me in a family, but it was also them as well. So it's kind of cool to see. It was really beautiful in that sense too. And I think also being adopted, it shows that the way you look and the color that you are, like in comparison, does not make you a family. It's
Yeah.
really like personalities and love is what makes family.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too.
Good.
I don't know if I can top that.
Good job, Jaden.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Do we have any extra comments or?
Oh, I wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, of course.
What happened at the airport with Grandma?
Oh, you want to tell that? Want me to tell that
you should
story?
tell it.
So my mom was so excited because I'm like the only daughter, and she was so excited for Jaden,
The one who mentioned
the one who
babies.
wanted the baby from China, and was so excited. And we got off the airplane. Again, she was just kind of taking it all in, and there was family and friends there waiting. And so my mom kind of rushed up to her to like look, get real close, and Jaden whacked her right in the face. She was like, nope, I'm not ready for this yet. And we told my mom too. We told her, we're like, Mom, we don't want you holding her for a few months. Like, we've heard that it's best for Scott and I to be the only ones that hold her so that we can bond. So she'd come over and I'd leave the room and I'd sneak back in and my mom's like trying to pick up Jaden. I was like, Mom, she couldn't stand it. But
You're
Jaden's
just too excited.
she's so
All the
loved by her
love.
grandparents, her cousins, the whole family.
The blog.
The blog
Yeah.
in the book.
Oh, well, yeah, Jaden can
Okay,
send you
so
pictures.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is the book that has everything. But something cool is that when they were on their journey to China, like how long was it? Like a 10,
Almost
10
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks thing.
Yeah.
He blogged the entire thing. So he was the one
Oh.
that wrote everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it was like ancient times blog, like email.
Yeah, it's like-
So
Yeah.
kind of
That's so amazing.
Put everything down, and it's basically in this book.
So I just put it into a book. So
I'm sure that's a memory
Such a special one.
you will obviously never forget. An experience, really.
That's so cool for you to have that, Jaden. to look
Yeah.
Back
Yeah,
on.
it's so cool to look at it and be like, oh look. Here, I'll just show you really quickly.
Stop.
That is so
cute.
cute.
A version of it if you want, like without the book, but I just want to show you.
Yeah.
That is so cute. Well, thank you so much for everything about your family and the adoption. We can
Yeah.
totally tell how loved you are, Jaden, and how perfectly you all fit together. Thank you for sharing those perspectives. So that will be the end of this episode. Thank you to the three of you for being here with us. We really appreciate it. And
with us.
yes, and thank you to all of you listening who have tuned into our episode, who have tuned into this episode. We will see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much
thank
for having
you.
us.
Bye bye.